For Algebra 1, Unit 1, Day 1 notes. We're going to review some pre-algebra skills before we get into Day 2. So Day 1 is adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing real numbers, as well as using that skill to help with order of operations and evaluating expressions. Now, I'm not quite sure why this printed so darkly, but I do apologize for that. I just realized it as I moved papers around. So first thing here, it says adding integers, subtracting integers, and we'll use a little X for multiply or divide integers. So it goes through our rules here for adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So for addition, same signs, you add the numbers together and keep the signs. So if I have a plus or a positive number and a positive number, I get a positive number. If my two numbers are negative and negative, they stay negative. Okay? Because you are in addition. You're not in multiplication, you're in addition. Different signs. Subtract the numbers. Keep the bigger numbers sign. So let's go ahead and do that for A through D. So here we have the same sign. They're both negative. Okay? Same sign, you add and you keep the sign. So 3 plus 5 is 8, but I keep it negative. Here I have different signs. Subtract. So in my head I'm thinking, what is 12 minus 7? Okay, get the number. Then it says keep the bigger numbers sign. So the bigger number here is 12 and it has a negative, so I put a negative on 5. Alright, letter C is actually just like A. But you have to understand that this means the same thing, even though there's not a plus sign here in letter C. So you have a negative 8 and a negative 13. This is really negative 8 plus negative 13. Same sign, both negative. I add and I keep that sign. Okay, here. When so when it says subtracting, change the problem to adding the opposite. So here, when we have the minus and the negative together, you could say like two negative signs or two minus signs together, they become a positive. So 6 plus 4 is 10. Now, for multiplying or dividing, I was shown a little triangle shortcut here. So basically you draw a triangle, you have a plus at the top and two minus signs. So what happens is any direction, if you go clockwise or you go counterclockwise, it doesn't matter, you get the right answer. So let's try it out. I've got a positive 12, so positive times a negative equals a negative. So that's going to be a negative. 12 times 4 is 48. Here, I have a negative 5, so here's a negative, times a negative is a positive, and that's 35. Okay, 45 divided by 9 is 5, but I have a negative divided by a positive, that equals a negative. Here I have 48 divided by 6, which is 8, but a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so it's just positive 8. So it doesn't matter which way again, you can go counterclockwise, okay, or you can go clockwise. Oh, sorry, this is clockwise, this is counterclockwise. Okay, and you get the right answer. Okay, just a simple, quick review of multiplying, dividing, adding, subtracting integers. Now, in example 2, it says down here, these are our order of operations. Now, you can see these words here a little bit easier, but please note that when we do this, that we are multiplying and dividing from left to right at the same time, and we are adding and subtracting from left to right as well, okay, at the same time. So they're kind of lumped together. All right, so first thing, we do not have parentheses, but we do have exponents. So 2 to the third is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And if I add 8 and 7, we get 15. Here I have parentheses, but I do not have an operation inside of the parentheses. So if I look at B, this 2, and I look at C, 6 minus 2, this has an operation inside the parentheses. I would do that first. Here I don't have an operation. So that's not necessarily the first thing I do. So I move on. Do I have exponents? I do. So 12 times 2 minus 4 squared is 16. Okay, then do I have multiplication or division? So you're asking at the same time, do I have multiplication in this problem? I just have multiplication. So 12 times 2 would give me 24. Okay, as we can see, we don't have anything else multiplication or division wise. So then do I have addition or subtraction? So again, we're going to ask this at the same time. And I do, I have subtraction. So 24 minus 16 is 8. Okay, letter C. Here I have subtraction inside my parentheses, so I do have parentheses. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that 6 minus 2. And that is 4. Then I have an exponent. 4 to the third power is 64. Do 4 3 times, so 4 times 4 times 4. Okay, then multiplication or division, and I actually have division here. So 64 divided by 2 is 32. Okay, letter D. I've got grouping symbols. Okay, so when I look at grouping symbols, the brackets and then the parentheses, we're going to do those parentheses first because it's inside of the brackets. We're going to knock this out. So we're going to say 3 times 4 minus 2 is 2 to the 5th power minus 20. Inside of the brackets, we would need to do 2 to the 5th power. And that would be 32. So again, 3 times the quantity, 32 minus 20. Inside of that bracket, I need to do subtraction. So 3 times 12. And that gives me 36. 3 times 12. Letter E. Do I have parentheses? Nope. Exponents? No. Multiplication or division? Yes. Okay, so this problem is 12. Okay, negative 25 divided by 5 is negative 5. 12 minus 5 is 7. Okay, and letter F. We do not have parentheses, but we do have exponents. So 5 times 7 minus 16 divided by 2. Then I do have multiplication and division here. So first I'm going to take care of the multiplication because it's the first thing I see from left to right. So 5 times 7 is 35. Then this whole part, negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8. If I take 35 minus 8, we get 27. Okay. Then for the second, or the third example, we're evaluating expressions, which means you're just going to substitute numbers into the problem, and then you're going to do order of operations. So here I'm given that my x is 3 and my y is 4. So I'm going to replace x with 3, replace y with 4, and 3 plus 4 is 7 squared, and 7 squared is 49. Okay, part B. Whenever I have a number and variable next to each other, you can pretty much guarantee that we're thinking of this as 2 times c in parentheses. Okay, so we have 2 times 8 plus d, which is 6 squared. So again, my parentheses is not an operation. So I'm going to do exponents first. So 2 times 8 plus 6 squared is 36. 2 times 8 is 16. And 16 plus 36 is 52. Okay, letter C. We know x is 5. Y is 2. So no parentheses, but we have a couple x squared is 25. And 2 squared is 4. Multiplication and division. So I'm looking at this part here. Negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. 25 plus 5 is 30. And 30 minus 3 is 27. For letter D, this one's a little bit trickier. So I'm going to provide some space. All right, so x times y. This is saying 2 times 3. Once you get that answer, you square it. Divided by, again, x times y, so 2 times 3. So inside my parentheses, I would multiply. That gives me 6 squared divided by 6. 6 squared is 36. Divided by 6 is 6. For letter E, this is your division bar. So when I multiply or divide, I will talk about that then. So 3g, I've got 3g, so 3 times 5 plus 6 over 7, which is my h. Now, when you have a problem written like this, you need to do the numerator first. So what's 3 times 5? So 15 plus 6, and that gives us 21. We know we're dividing by 7. And so this means that my answer is simply 3. All right, last problem, we've got 2 times A, so 2 times 3, plus 2 times B, which is 4, and all of that is in parentheses. So I want to take care of these two things first inside my parentheses. This gives me 6 plus 8. 6 plus 8 is 14 squared, and that is 196, which is just 14 times 14.